Facebook page on any of the social media platforms or on our website at downonthefarmradio.com. Neighbor, let's look at weather for a couple of the places that you can catch a Down on the Farm radio program on the radio. Abilene has a Down on the Farm radio affiliate. It's KLGD 1069, the Country Giant. Abilene's weather today, sunny, 73 the high, 45 the low tomorrow morning, winds 5 to 8. Drop down to Sonora, where we've got Cajos, 92.1 FM, your country station. Your weather, sunny, 73 the high, 45 the low, winds out of the south 5 to 8. Let's move down to Junction, where we've got Junction's own KYKK 93.5, your country station. Sunny, 72 the high, 42 the low, winds out of the south 5 to 8. Neighbor, let's move over to Giddings, where we've got 96.3 KGID, sunny, 75 the high, 44 the low. Moving down to Jourdanton, where we've got KSAQ, 75 and 44, of course a sunny day today. And let's drop down to where I broadcast from each and every day on Aransas Bay. We have 97.5 Real Country KFTX, Corpus Christi, Texas. Sunny, 75 and 47. Neighbor, there's your ag weather for many of the areas across Down on the Farm radio country today.
The formula for success is a simple one. Put strong in, get strong out. That's why cotton growers looking to improve yield potential plant Delta Pine brand cotton, featuring 100 years of proven yield potential and exclusive genetics in every bag. Strong is a legacy all its own. Protect yours with strong cotton from Delta Pine. Always read and follow IRM where applicable, grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
Neighbor, our top story from DTN comes from flyover country, where they say President Donald Trump finds strong support in rural America with the presidential race nearly ended. The DTN Progressive Farmer Zogsby Analytic election poll found 50% of rural adults intend to vote for Trump as president tomorrow. That's a lead of about 18 percentage points over Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. Brenda Freitag, who farms near Woodburn, Oregon, is highly active in agricultural state politics. She said she is a strong supporter of Trump. I appreciate his emphasis and appreciation for farmers. I appreciate his emphasis on streaming regulation rollbacks like the Waters of the United States regulation and including us, farmers, in the conversation. She says she doubt we'd have that seat at the table if Joe Biden became president. Rural voters also favor Republicans over Democrats in congressional races. 49% of rural residents say they will vote for Republicans in that congressional race. 31% favor a Democratic candidate. Now, the survey does show indecision and dissatisfaction in rural America. 11% of rural adults are undecided about their choice for president. 42% of rural residents and farmers strongly or somewhat disapprove of the president's job performance. Trade is an issue that lands some in the Biden camp. Other countries don't take us seriously under Trump's leadership, said one Iowa farmer. And a fairly large percentage said they were better off prior to the Trump presidency than they are now, even though they support the president 100%. We're on the line with Sam from D&D. Sam, I've never seen as much Stay Tough fence in my whole life.
That's right, Larry. Right now we have the largest supply of American T-post and the largest supply of Stay Tough fencing in Texas.
Tell us how to take advantage of all that product.
All you got to do, Larry, is call me at 830-379-7340, and that's for one of our friendly staff members.
Neighbor, let's take a look at corn, beans, and wheat right quick. Now, in corn, for the fifth time in the last 6 days, December corn is lower, pressured by falling crude oil, which has plunged below the $35 a barrel mark, resuming lockdowns tied to COVID-19 being the problem there. As we look toward soybean futures under pressure beginning Monday as the European Union locks back down, and crude oil losses are thought to have a negatively psychological impact on demand. In wheat, all three wheat exchanges are lower to start the day, with KC December attempting to close lower for the 8th time in the last 9 days. Neighbor, as we think about cotton, we see that market is lower today as it still reels from last week's violent top. Additionally, traders are squaring some positions as the 2020 presidential election looms. The nation has seen a record early voter turnout, but the actual election happens tomorrow. At any rate, it seems cotton has fallen to the low side of the channel support as it awaits the next reason to move one direction or the other. This afternoon, the USDA will issue its latest crop harvest data. Last week, the crop was 42% gathered, which was below its 10-year average of 43%. Of course, a series of adverse weather episodes like the recent Hurricane Zeta has slowed harvest efforts. The weather has also resulted in some crop losses in terms of quality and quantity. Friday's commitment of traders report showed managed money speculators actually increased their net long positions to 65,163 contracts by buying an additional 2,700 contracts last week. Some in the industry were expecting otherwise. The 6 to 10 day weather forecast has a southeast with above normal rainfall, which suggests harvesting efforts may get delayed all the more. Today's support for December cotton stands at 68, then at 67.50, with resistance at 70 and 70.50. Overnight estimated volume, according to Keith Brown from Commodity Consultants and DTN, looks like around 10,080 contracts.
Rumensin presents Trusted by Generations. Headquartered in Amarillo, Texas, Cactus Feeders has been producing high-quality protein at their feed yards in Texas and Kansas for over 40 years. They work hard each day to make sure the beef they produce is safe and nutritious. Director of Nutrition Kendall Carr and General Manager of Wrangler Feed Yard Randy Shields have been working together at Cactus Feeders for 20 years. We asked them what they view as the most vital ingredient in their success. For Kendall, trust comes before anything else, and that includes doing business with a handshake. Beyond trust in their partners, Kendall knows it's important for consumers to trust the beef they consume. Randy believes it all comes back to the handshake deal, that when you make a commitment, you follow through with that commitment. Both Kendall and Randy are proud to carry on the legacy of helping people learn and grow in the beef cattle business. Rumensin has been trusted by generations of cattle producers to help build their legacy. What will your legacy be? Explore more legacy stories at trustedbygenerations.com.
Neighbor, why don't we turn our head and steer our gaze toward the cattle markets? Following sluggish cattle activity with trade in the south and steady to weak trade in the north, putting more emphasis on the overall direction of the market during early November, it is possible there could be some early week developments in the cash cattle trade in order for the packers to get late week deliveries, but more like packers will go through the week looking for additional volume through the middle to the end of the week. With the month of November now on the books, packers are likely to have access to additional contracted cattle for November deliveries, which can be used to offset the limited cash trade we've seen last week. Show list and distribution take place today. That's the main event. Today also, feeders are likely to post firm price levels to the cattle on show list as the week continues. Futures trades expected to be mixed to moderately higher. Traders focusing on building on last week's market support in the live and feeder cattle trade. The ability to likely establish a market bottom in nearby and deferred contracts is helping to create additional momentum across the nation. Neighbor, now let's take a look at Texas statewide ag issues with Farm Bureau's Carrie Martin. Today's edition of Focus on Ag. Carrie, what's our topic?
Record cold and much needed moisture in the Panhandle. I'm Kerry Martin with Focus on Agriculture on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. As Texas Panhandle farmers transition from summer crops to winter production, the weather this week delivered some record cold and some much needed moisture. James Hunt reports from Amarillo.
Those temperatures in the low 20s and teens should represent the kind of killing freeze that will help make harvesting of crops like sorghum and cotton a little easier, and all the rain, sleet, and snow we got has yielded accumulated precipitation in the 1 to 2 inch range for much of the Panhandle. That's moisture that's been desperately needed by winter wheat growers here in the early season. Speaking of wheat, Texas A&M AgriLife agronomist Jordan Bell tells me The big jump in grain prices recently seems to have boosted interest among local farmers. And Dr. Bell says beyond the prospects for grain, some wheat farmers may also find opportunities on the forage side due to our very dry summer.
From the dairy industry, we're really seeing a demand in forage. And in the southwestern panhandle, because of the drought, silage yields were below average.
So when it's time to sell come springtime,
I'm hoping that our small grain producers will be sitting in a good position for profitability, whether they're looking at forage or grain this year.
In Amarillo, James Hunt for the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
I'm a cotton farmer.
I'm BASF.
I'm made of grit, passion, and hands that never stop working.
I'm made of agronomics, innovation, and hands that never stop helping.
I believe cotton isn't a crop. It's a calling. I'm made to grow it.
Protect it.
I know this is important to my family.
Every family.
That's why I work harder.
Innovate better.
To make my cotton as good as it can be.
As protected as it can be.
I'm a cotton farmer.
I'm BASF.
We create chemistry.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to insure your home for Texas-size weather. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
The most recent USDA cattle on feed report showed large placements of cattle into feedlots. In fact, it was 6% higher than a year ago. But that's not the case here in Texas. When you break the report down on a state-by-state basis, our placements were actually lower than a year ago. Here's how the Texas numbers break out. Total cattle and calves on feed, 2.87 million head. That's up 3%. Placements, 450,000 head. That's down 3% from a year ago. Feedlots marketed 415,000 head during September. That's up 6% from 2019. I'm Kerry Martin on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, I do believe it's about time for Hop Sing to ring that lunch bell. Chicken fried steak, jalapeno gravy, plenty of Annie's East rolls, and a cold cucumber salad, a glass of iced tea, or a cup of coffee, whichever you prefer. We'd just prefer for you to sit down and eat with us at Granny Marble's kitchen table, and let's all talk to Russell Heller, Lexington Livestock. Russell, our Saturday sale turned out well, I guess.
Yes, sir. Had a good sale this week, 988 total head with 98 cows.
Let's walk the pins.
All right, the Packer cows, thinner ones 25 to 41, and the better cows 42 to 60. On the calves this week, they were higher, anywhere from $2 to $4 up to $8 or $10 higher on the better quality calves. 3 to 400 pound steering bulls, 110 to 185. 4 to 5 weights, $1.05 to 165. 5 to 6 weights, $1 to 140. 6 to 7 weights, 95 to 130. 7 to 8 weights, 90 to 120. On the heifers, 3 to 400 pound heifers, $1.05 to 160. 4 to 5 weights, $1 to 135. 5 to 6 weights, 95 to 130. 6 to 7 weights, 90 to 121. 7 to 8 weight heifers, 85 to 110.
Are you aware of anything for this next Saturday sale?
Yes, sir. I know of one man's going to have 15 calves, and that's all I know of so far.
Well, tell everybody how to get a hold of you for that Saturday sale in Lexington.
Yes, sir. You can get me on my cell. That number is 979-820-7002.
I'm on the line with Julie from D&D. Julie, what do you want to tell us about today?
Well, I was going to let you know that we got all the cattle cubes you could possibly need, 12, 20, and 38% protein cubes for your cattle. We also got the Crete, Precon, and several other fantastic feeds for all the cattle needs.
Tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
If you call me at 830-379-7340, I'd gladly pick up, or you can even come and see me in the store. I'd be glad to talk to you for a few minutes.
Neighbor, let's see if we can't send the cowboy crew down to Beeville to help Rodney Butler gather for this next Friday's sale. I bet he'll have some work for us. Rodney, how did the last Friday sale turn out for y'all?
We got along real good. Like I told y'all last week, that old market sure was softer, but seemed like it was a little better Friday. We had good cattle. We had some good steers and good heifers this week, and I just thought the market was probably 4 to 8 cents higher than it was. We had 641 head of cattle, no horses, and we had 5 goats. Your 200, 300-pound steers were $1.16 to $1.57. Heifers $1.06 to $1.20. 300, 400-pound steers $1.28 to $1.77. Heifers $1.11 to $1.30. Your 400, 500-pound steers, $1.19 to $1.38. Heifers, $1.12 to $1.35. Your 500, 600-pound steers, $1.11 to $1.31. Heifers, $1.04 to $1.14. 600, 700-pound steers, $1.04 to $1.21. Heifers, $1.03 to $1.14. Your 700 to 800-pound steers, $1 to $1.08. And your heifers, $96 to $1.04. Packer cows are pretty steady. They brought anywhere from 30 to 55. Bulls brought from 62 to 80 cents. Young stocker cows didn't have but a handful of them. They brought anywhere from 42 to 64, with some bred cows that we had brought dollaring out around that 760, sir.
What are we anticipating for this Friday's sales?
I know of a couple of bunches of cattle coming this week that people have called already Saturday.
Right.
So I'm sure we'll have another 5 to 600 head, sir.
Well, tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, if I can help you market your cattle, call me at 361-358-1727, or you can call me on my mobile, 645-5002.
Neighbor, if you're in need of pipe, steel, and fencing, or any of the supplies that go along with building a metal project, you need to contact PMI, Pipe, Steel, and Fencing at pipemovers.com. They have locations in San Antonio, in High up above Fredericksburg, in Hondo, they're west of San Antonio, in Kerrville, they're off of Sidney Baker, I believe it is, in Robstown, in Jourdanton, Texas, and in Laredo. So all over our region, you can find a PMI, Pipe, Steel, and Fencing location. You can find out the individual telephone numbers at pipemovers.com. And remember, they'll ship anywhere within the Down on the Farm radio listening area. That's PMI, Pipe, Steel, and Fencing, pipemovers.com. Neighbor, before we catch another livestock market operator report and then look at grain and cotton prices, let's go to the Texas Farm Bureau radio news desk and talk to Dr. Bob Judd. He raises a question that I hadn't thought of in a while, and lots of us need to if we doctor cattle. Dr. Bob?
When is the last time you checked the temperature of the refrigerator that stores your livestock vaccine? Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Texas Vet News on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. I'm veterinarian Dr. Bob Judd, and many folks use an old used refrigerator for storing vaccines, and it is probably not worth taking a chance on an older refrigerator to do this job. Although you may feel inside the refrigerator and it is cold enough to keep drinks cold, that does not indicate vaccines are being maintained at the proper temperature. If you have a large operation, you may be storing thousands of dollars of vaccine from time to time in the refrigerator, and if the refrigerator stops working correctly, you will lose much more than the cost of a new refrigerator. However, the most likely problem is that the refrigerator is still working, so you believe the vaccine is being stored properly, and yet the vaccine gets too warm or freezes, and both can make the vaccine ineffective. Many of these older refrigerators have old or dirty cooling systems and cannot recover the temperature quickly once the door is opened. Also, some of these old units have doors that do not seal well. For this reason, Dr. Emmanuel Rollin from the University of Georgia recommends using a wireless temperature monitor that will record high and low temperatures and will document a log indicating the temperatures at different times of the day. If the refrigerator is not doing the job, you not only lose the cost of the vaccine, but even worse is using ineffective vaccine. If you do not know the refrigerator is not cooling correctly, or if the vaccine was frozen, the vaccine is likely ineffective and will not protect against the diseases you are trying to prevent. If this occurs, the loss could be much greater, so make sure to monitor your vaccine refrigerator's internal temperature.
Where has the Pioneer Audio Tour taken me today? I'll give you a hint. In my left hand, I'm holding a clump of soil, and its color? Red. I'm at Pioneer's R&D Center in Union City, Tennessee. It's the middle of July, and it's 98 degrees. I'm here to talk about the corn revolution, Pioneer's advances in genetics, breeding, technology, and testing. Now, normally when you think of corn, you think Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Nebraska, Kansas, the usual suspects. But Pioneer knows red dirt as well as black, with research centers, test plots, breeders, and agronomists outside what we traditionally think of as the Corn Belt. This way, Pioneer can develop local products for local farms wherever they are. The R&D Center in Union City, Tennessee. Another place that makes Pioneer, Pioneer. You'll hear more from me later. For now, let your local Pioneer sales representative hear from you.
I hope you enjoyed today's Texas Vet News. I'm Dr. Bob Judd. This is the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, when you hear cattle in the alleyway on a Monday, that means they had a good sale in Cameron on Friday, and they're still shipping them out. Kenny Mingus, how did that Friday sale turn out?
Well, it turned out good. We wound up with a little more than I thought we'd had. We had 1,094. Out of that mix, we probably had around 200 cows. I guess you can say, wow, what a difference a week makes. The market was extremely better than a week ago, and so hopefully we can keep that trend up. We'll start with the steers under 300, 165 to 205, 3 to 400 pound steers, 140 to 167, 4 to 500 pound steers, 121 to 157, and over 500 for 92 to $1.45. On the heifers under 300, 128 to 190, 3 to 400 pound heifers, 123 to 145, 4 to 500 pound heifers, 108 to 165, and over 582 to $1.50. Keep in mind on those heifers, there was several good Brangus heifers and a few Tiger Stripe heifers that made those extremes really high on the heifers. Packer cows, they added a little money to them, still from 20 on some of the real thin, hard, lightweight cows to 60 on the best one. Packer bulls added a little to them, 60 to 80. On the bred cows, from 4 1/4 to 17.50, and on the cow calf pairs, Larry, we just really didn't have a very good test. Had 2 pair in the barn, so.
Sounds like you had a good sale. What do you think's headed our way for this week?
Well, I think one or two things. I think we'll either be really busy because people are going to say, well, the market's a little better, and I'm going to get the few calves I have left, and I'm going deer hunting. I'll see you next year. Or they're going to, wait a bit and maybe come with them when we frost. I just don't know.
Whichever way they want to do it, we're ready for them at Milam County Livestock Auction this Friday. Can you tell everybody how to contact you?
You bet. We're at the office from about 9 to 3, Monday through Wednesday at 254-697-6697. You can follow us on our webpage at MilamCountyLivestockAuction.com or catch us on Facebook. We're available to receive cattle starting at 8 a.m. on Thursdays and 7 a.m. on Fridays.
MG Building Materials reminds you to start your next project today with an MG personal credit card. No interest if paid in full within 6 months. Apply for your card at any MG Building Materials store. Get all the information at mgbuildingmaterials.com. Remember, those stores are San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Kerrville, Pleasanton, and Uvalde. Call that Uvalde store at 2301 East Main Street at 830-278-4439. Neighbor, we hope to have some updated grain prices for you this afternoon. John Tuggle has not reported for a day or two, so at last glance, according to his report, number 2 or better, Milo through Corpus in October, 1136. Yellow corn through Corpus in October, 456. Hard red winter wheat through Corpus in October, 624 1/4. And number 1 beans through Houston in October, 1017 1/4. Neighbor, we moved 365 bale of Texas cotton on Friday. Last average price, $65.17. Our last word today on Down on the Farm, neighbor, good day.